Hey Reddit, this is probably going to be a long one, and honestly, I'm still processing everything. I-36M have been married to my wife L-34F for 8 years. We've been together for 11 total. I thought we had a solid marriage. We've had our ups and downs like any couple, but nothing that ever made me question her loyalty or love for me until about 6 months ago. It started small. At first, I chalked it up to stress. She started staying late at work more often, which wasn't like her. She's a dental hygienist, and her hours have always been pretty regular. Suddenly, there were emergency patients, training sessions, and even late staff meetings on Fridays, which was new. She also became super protective of her phone. Before, we'd leave our phones lying around without even thinking about it. Now, that thing was glued to her like a third arm. If I so much as glanced at her screen, she'd flip it over or pull it away with this weird, nervous laugh, like I was snooping or something. At night, she stopped initiating anything physical. I mean, we weren't exactly teenagers anymore, but our intimacy had always been consistent. Now she was too tired, too stressed, not in the mood, or my personal favorite, feeling bloated almost every night. I tried to talk to her, asked if everything was okay. She'd smile, give me a kiss, and say, "Babe, don't be silly. Everything's fine." But it didn't feel fine. I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. And that's when I made the biggest mistake, or maybe the smartest decision I've ever made. So, yeah, I did the thing you're not supposed to do in a healthy relationship. I went through her phone. I didn't want to. I swear to God, I sat there for almost an hour just staring at it on the kitchen counter. She was in the shower, singing like she didn't have a care in the world, and I felt like the worst human being on earth just thinking about invading her privacy. But my gut wouldn't let it go. And you know what they say? If your gut is screaming, something's probably wrong. Her phone was locked, but I knew the passcode. It's been the same for years, her birthday. That felt like a betrayal in itself somehow, that I could still open it so easily, like I was living in some old faded version of our life. Anyway, I wasn't even in her phone for 2 minutes before I found it. Snapchat. She never used Snapchat before. Like, literally never. I didn't even know she had an account, but there it was. Dozens of messages from some guy saved in the chat history. His name was Tyler. The worst part? She saved their messages. I don't even know why. Maybe part of her wanted to get caught? I clicked one and immediately felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. Last night was amazing. I can still taste you on my lips. I dreamt about your hands all over me again. Can't wait until Friday. Wear that tight skirt I like. It was like reading someone else's life, someone else's wife. My hands were shaking. I took screenshots, every message, every photo. Yeah, there were photos too. I wish I could unsee them. I didn't even hear her come out of the shower. When she walked into the kitchen in her towel and saw me standing there with her phone in my hand, I'll never forget the look on her face. That mask of hers, it cracked. For a split second, she looked like a stranger, and then the lies began. So there I was, holding her phone like it was some kind of cursed object. My heart was pounding out of my chest. She looked at me, then at the screen, and I saw the exact moment she realized what I'd seen. Her eyes widened, but just for a second, then came the switch. She folded her arms and gave me this annoyed look, like I was the one who'd done something wrong. "What the hell, Daniel?" she snapped. "Why are you going through my phone?" "No, my God, I'm so sorry!" No explanation, just immediate offense. I said, "Who's Tyler?" She rolled her eyes, and said, "You're being paranoid. He's just a friend." A friend who dreams about tasting her, apparently. I opened the phone again and pulled up the saved messages. "Friends don't talk like this," I said, trying hard to keep my voice calm. My hands were still shaking. "You said you were working late Friday. You were with him, weren't you?" She scoffed. "You're being dramatic. It was just flirting. It doesn't mean anything." "Oh, okay. Just some harmless sexting with a guy behind your husband's back. Totally chill, right?" I said, "Are you sleeping with him?" She hesitated for half a second too long. And then, "No, I told you. It's just fun. You've been so distant lately, and I needed, I don't know, attention, maybe." Ah, the classic blame shift. I guess if I'd been more attentive, she wouldn't have to go out and get railed by Tyler in his car behind a Red Lobster. I told her I saw the pictures. I told her I wasn't stupid, and that's when she finally snapped. You went through my private stuff. You violated my trust. No wonder I needed someone else. Look at how controlling you are. She actually said that right to my face. Suddenly, she was the victim. I felt like I was in some twisted alternate reality where up was down and lies were truth. I didn't even know what to say, so I just walked out. I drove around for hours that night, not even sure where I was going. I ended up in a grocery store parking lot, just staring at the steering wheel, wondering how the hell we got here. I hadn't cried in years, but I did that night. I didn't go home that night. I slept in my car. Well, tried to sleep. Mostly I sat there, staring at the ceiling, asking myself the same question over and over again. How did I miss it? I kept thinking back on all the little moments, the times she looked distant at dinner, how she started locking the bathroom door, how she'd giggle at her phone and then turn the screen away. The spa day she took with her friends 2 weeks ago, where she came home without a trace of lavender oil but smelling like cheap cologne. I didn't want to believe it at first, you know? You build a life with someone, brick by brick. You don't expect them to start pulling out the foundation while you're still standing inside. Around 7 a.m., I went back to the house. She was still there, sitting at the kitchen table like nothing had happened, sipping her almond milk latte and scrolling her phone. It was surreal. She looked up at me like I had some explaining to do. We need to talk, I said. She sighed, put down her mug, and crossed her legs like this was some HR meeting she had to suffer through. Okay, go ahead. So I laid it out. I told her I knew it wasn't just flirting and that I'd seen enough to know she had lied to me repeatedly. I told her she owed me the truth, the whole truth, right then and there. And she said, "It didn't mean anything, Daniel. It's not like I love him." I swear to God that broke something in me. Like somehow it would be better if she had just loved the guy. But no, he was just a distraction, a hobby, something to make her feel young or wanted or whatever excuse she'd convinced herself made it okay. Then she said the line I will never forget. If you hadn't been so boring lately, maybe I wouldn't have needed excitement elsewhere. Boring. 8 years of marriage. Planning vacations, cooking dinner, helping her through her dad's cancer, late night talks about starting a family. And I was boring. That was the moment I stopped crying on the inside and started getting angry. I realized I wasn't sad because I lost her. I was sad because I thought I had something real, but I didn't. I had a version of her that no longer existed. After she dropped the boring bomb on me, I just stood there, silent, like my brain was buffering. Then, calmly, probably too calmly, I said, "So that's it. You're blaming me for your decision to cheat?" She shrugged. Like we were talking about picking the wrong takeout. "I'm not saying it's all your fault," she said, "but I didn't feel appreciated. Tyler, he made me feel seen. He complimented me. He listened." Right. Tyler, the wisdom spewing philosopher from Snapchat, was suddenly her emotional support system. I told her she had every chance in the world to talk to me, to tell me she felt disconnected, that she wasn't happy. But instead, she snuck around and got her validation from some guy who sends shirtless gym selfies and types like he just discovered the alphabet. That's when she finally cracked. Her voice raised, her arms flailed. Um, the performance began. "You don't get it," she shouted. "I've been stuck in this house, this routine, this life. I needed something different, something fun. You're always so predictable." Predictable. That was another dagger. Apparently, loyalty, stability, and emotional maturity are now synonyms for predictable. I asked her if she was in love with him. Her eyes shifted and she said, "No, I don't think so." That told me everything I needed to know. Then she said something that really made my skin crawl. "Look, we can move past this. It's not like I'm leaving you for him. Like she was offering me a gift. Like she expected me to thank her for gracing me with her continued presence." I told her I needed space and that I'd be staying with my brother for a while. Her mood flipped again, instantly. "Wait, what? Seriously?" she asked, like I was being immature for not wanting to share a bed with someone who had just emotionally nuked our marriage. "I made a mistake," she said, tears suddenly appearing. God, the tears. Don't throw everything away over one mistake. But it wasn't just one mistake, it was dozens. Dozens of lies, dozens of choices, 100 tiny betrayals that she chose every single day she texted him instead of talking to me. I grabbed a duffel bag, threw in some clothes, and left. She didn't follow me. So I get to my brother's place, shout out to Jake, by the way, and I just collapse on his couch like a dead man. I hadn't slept more than 2 hours and 36. My eyes were bloodshot, my head felt like it was being crushed in a vice, and I hadn't eaten since that morning coffee that now tasted like betrayal. Jake opens the door, sees my face, and goes, "She did something, didn't she?" I just nodded. He didn't even need the details. He's always had a radar for this stuff. We didn't even talk for an hour. We just sat there, TV on, both pretending to care about whatever rerun was playing. When I finally told him, he didn't say, "I told you so." He didn't try to talk me into forgiving her. He just got up, poured me 2 fingers of whiskey, and said, "You're not crazy. She is." That was the first time I felt even slightly sane in this whole nightmare. But the fallout didn't stop when I walked out of the house, because that same night, not even 10 hours after I left, she started damage control. Texts started coming in, not from her, but from mutual friends. "Hey, I heard you and Amanda are going through something. She said you overreacted. She told me you've been cold for a while. Is everything okay? She's really upset, Daniel. Maybe you guys just need space." She had already started spinning the narrative. I couldn't believe it. She made it sound like I'd had some breakdown and stormed out over a misunderstanding. Left out the part about Tyler and the half-naked selfies and the backseat rendezvous like it was just some communication issue. That night, she texted me something that honestly made me laugh out loud. "I think we should go to couples therapy. I don't want to lose what we have." What we had? You burned what we had to the ground, Amanda. You soaked it in gasoline, struck the match. And now you want to talk about therapy? I didn't reply. I turned off my phone and threw it across the couch. I didn't have the energy for the lies anymore. I couldn't keep pretending that this was a fixable glitch in the system. It wasn't. It was a full system crash. By the next morning, I had officially moved into Jake's guest room, aka his junk room, with a mattress that felt like it was stuffed with rocks and regret. But honestly, it still beats sleeping next to someone who could look you in the eyes and lie without blinking. I figured I had some time to breathe. Wrong, because the next unexpected domino to fall came in the form of a message from a name I didn't recognize at first. Tyler's girlfriend. Yep, turns out Romeo wasn't as single as Amanda had made him out to be. Her message was short but brutal. "Hey, I'm sorry to bother you, but I think your wife has been seeing my boyfriend. I found messages between them. I thought you should know." I stared at the screen like my phone had just punched me in the face. I responded and told her I already knew that Amanda had admitted to flirting, lol, and that I'd seen the messages too. That's when she sent me screenshots I hadn't seen. Worse ones. Ones where Amanda called me clingy and soft, and said she felt trapped in a dead marriage. Ones where she told Tyler she fantasized about leaving me for him, that she wished Daniel would just cheat first so she had an excuse to leave without guilt. That one. That sentence. It hit me harder than the cheating itself. I showed it to Jake, who said nothing. He just shook his head slowly, like someone reading an obituary. What made it even worse? Amanda had told me just a week earlier that she appreciated me being so loyal and consistent, that she didn't deserve me. And now I was reading this garbage where I'm apparently the problem for being too good to her. The emotional whiplash was unbearable. She was telling one version of reality to our friends, another to me, and a completely different one to her side piece. She was like a relationship chameleon, changing colors based on who she needed sympathy or validation from. It was like I'd been married to a stranger with a really convincing Amanda costume. And for the first time since this whole thing blew up, I said out loud what I'd been afraid to admit even to myself. I don't think I ever really knew her. After getting those screenshots from Tyler's girlfriend, who, by the way, was way more composed than I would have been in her shoes, I knew there was no salvaging this. But Amanda didn't. She still thought she could twist the truth back into shape, like she always did. So I finally called her. I was done playing along. No more silence. No more unread texts sitting like landmines on my phone. I needed answers, not because I wanted her back, but because I wanted closure. When she picked up, she sounded chipper. Chipper, like I was calling to ask about laundry detergent or something. "Hey, I was just thinking about you." Thinking about me. Sure, I said, "Amanda, I spoke to Tyler's girlfriend." Silence. Wait, what? Why would you talk to her? That right there told me everything. She wasn't surprised Tyler had a girlfriend, just surprised I found out. Classic deflection. I told her I saw the screenshots, that I knew everything now, that I knew she wasn't just flirting or confused or lonely. I told her she'd been living a double life, and I wasn't interested in being in either version of it anymore. And then the real gaslighting began. You don't understand the pressure I've been under. You always made me feel like I had to be perfect. I was just trying to feel alive again. You were emotionally unavailable. You're not completely innocent either, Daniel. Excuse me? I'm not innocent? For what? Paying the bills on time? Cooking dinner 3 nights a week? Being emotionally available every time she had a meltdown over a Facebook comment? She said I was cold and distant. I reminded her she hadn't touched me in 2 months, that she spent every night giggling into her phone under the covers like a teenager. And then she pulled out the last desperate card. So what? You're just going to throw away 8 years over this? I nearly laughed. Amanda, you threw it away. You just expected me to keep holding the bag. She started crying, like real sobs. And for a split second, that old instinct kicked in. You know, the one that wants to protect the person you love when they're hurting? But then I remembered those texts, the ones where she wished I'd cheat, the ones where she called me too soft to leave her, and I hung up. No words. No goodbye. Just click. It was the only time in 8 years I left her speechless. It didn't take long for Amanda to realize her crying and guilt tripping weren't going to work on me anymore. And when that happened, the next shift was almost cinematic. She went full on PR campaign mode. Suddenly, posts started popping up on her socials. Not about the cheating, obviously. She wasn't that bold. No, these were vague, heartbroken wife posts designed to manipulate everyone watching. Sometimes the people you give everything to are the ones who destroy you the most, healing, growth. I never thought I'd be here, but maybe this is what self-love looks like. Self-love? You mean banging Tyler, the 30-year-old gym bro with a brain made of protein powder and Red Bull? At first I ignored it, but mutual friends started messaging me again, confused. One even said, "Wow, dude, I didn't think you were the type to just walk out like that." Oh, so she told people I left her out of nowhere, that I emotionally abandoned her, that she tried to make it work, but I just gave up. And people believed her for a minute until Tyler's girlfriend, hero of this whole saga, by the way, decided to blow it all wide open. She posted a story with screenshots, tagged Amanda, exposed everything. Tyler's lies, Amanda's texts, the dates, the timelines, the captions. Chef's kiss. This is what healing looks like? This is what you call self-love? Nah, this is just cheating with extra steps. It was brutal, public, undeniable. Amanda deleted everything within an hour. Social media gone, ghosted from every platform. I imagine her sitting on the floor, mascara streaking, trying to find a way to spin this latest dumpster fire into another pity post. But the internet doesn't forget. And for the first time since this all started, I wasn't the one being made to question my reality. I got messages from friends, real friends, apologizing for judging too soon. A couple even offered to help me move my stuff. One of Amanda's own cousins texted me to say she was disgusted and couldn't believe she defended her at first. Amanda didn't reach out again. No apologies, no explanations. She was too busy licking her ego wounds. And honestly, I didn't need her words anymore, because the truth was finally louder than her lies. After the social media nuke dropped and Amanda's PR campaign crumbled, I thought the drama would taper off. I thought maybe, finally, we'd enter that quiet phase where I could just grieve, heal, and move the hell on. Nope. Because when people like Amanda lose control of the narrative, they don't retreat, they escalate. 3 days after Tyler's girlfriend torched the internet, Amanda showed up at Jake's house, unannounced, in person, wearing this oversized hoodie and tear-streaked face like she was auditioning for a sad indie film. Jake opened the door, saw her, and instinctively stepped in front of me like I was a VIP and she was a security breach. She said she just wanted to talk. I didn't want to. But some dumb part of me, the part that still remembered our wedding day or her sleepy good morning kisses, agreed. So we talked on Jake's porch, with his dog growling behind the screen door like he knew she was full of crap. Here's the gist of what she said. She didn't mean for it to go that far. She got confused and felt neglected. She blamed Tyler for pushing boundaries. She said the texts look worse than they were. And my favorite, you were never supposed to find out. Oh, so the betrayal wasn't the issue, just the exposure. She asked if we could try therapy, that we shouldn't throw away our whole history over one mistake, which I reminded her wasn't one mistake, it was a months long, premeditated emotional and physical affair. And then she said the most Amanda line of all: I only cheated because I was scared you didn't love me anymore. I laughed, actually laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was so painfully backwards. I cooked for you, Amanda. I defended you when people said you were manipulative. I paid for your grad school. I held you when you cried about your job. How the hell does that translate to not loving you? She didn't answer, just stood there blinking like a computer freezing under too many tabs. She tried one last time, reached for my hand, tried to say something soft and sad, but I stepped back. That was the moment. The actual moment I knew I was done. Not just angry, not just betrayed. Done. I wasn't going to fix her anymore. I wasn't going to clean up the mess. I wasn't going to be the one carrying the emotional weight for both of us. I turned, walked back inside, and closed the door. Jake handed me a beer. No words, just a nod, and for the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace. After that final conversation with Amanda on Jake's porch, the fog started to lift. My body still felt like it had been through a meat grinder, but at least I could breathe without it catching in my chest. I wasn't okay, not by a long shot, but I wasn't drowning anymore. Now came the practical part. I had to go back to our apartment, the one I had paid rent on for 8 years, the one with our framed wedding photo still hanging in the hallway like a joke, the one where she had probably brought him when I was out of town for that conference in March. I texted her first, told her I was coming to get my stuff, asked her not to be there. She replied, I'll be out. No apology, no wish for peace. Just cold, flat resignation. I went in the middle of a Tuesday when I figured most people would be at work and I wouldn't have to bump into neighbors who still thought Amanda was the sweet girl who baked banana bread every Sunday. Walking into that apartment felt like walking into a haunted house. Everything looked the same. The couch we bought together, the bookshelf I assembled with 3 missing screws, the candle that still smelled like cinnamon and trust. But it all felt fake now. Like props in a play I didn't want to be in anymore. I packed quickly: clothes, documents, a few books that mattered. I left the photo albums. I couldn't stomach flipping through our smiling faces knowing what I knew now. Then I opened the nightstand drawer on her side of the bed. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted one last jolt of truth to keep me from backsliding into nostalgia. Inside was a cheap bracelet. Nothing special, plastic beads, stretchy string, but I knew it wasn't mine. I'd never seen it before. I checked the inside. A name. TD. Tyler. D, I'm assuming. I laughed again, not because it was funny, because it was pathetic. She couldn't even hide the evidence properly. Or maybe she didn't care. Maybe she wanted to get caught. Or maybe deep down she thought I was too weak to walk away, even now. I left it there. Took one last look around, whispered a quiet goodbye, not to her, but to the version of myself who thought love was supposed to hurt this much. And I left. Back to Jake's. Back to the guest room where I'd been rebuilding myself from splinters. And for the first night in weeks, I slept without waking up in a cold sweat. It wasn't over, but it was finally ending. You always imagine heartbreak as this dramatic thing: screaming in the rain, smashing plates, crying on the kitchen floor to sad indie songs. But for me, the real pain came in the silence. It wasn't loud, it was still, like waking up in a world where the oxygen was thinner and everything felt 2 seconds behind. There were no more fights, no more lies, no more texts, just nothing. Amanda went radio silent. No calls, no apologies, no updates. She didn't fight for us. She didn't even try to pretend anymore. And weirdly, that hurt more than the betrayal itself. Because for all her drama, all the guilt tripping and gaslighting, part of me still thought I mattered, that I was worth fighting for. But I wasn't. Not to her. Jake was a rock through all of this. He'd been through his own divorce a few years back, so he knew when to talk and when to just sit next to me and pass the popcorn. We binged dumb action movies and made fun of Tyler whenever his name came up. It helped. And I started therapy. Honestly, I should have done it years ago. The first session, the therapist asked, "What do you want to get out of this?" I said, "I want to understand why I stayed for so long." Because that's the truth. No one tells you about being cheated on. Yeah, it shatters your trust in others, but it also cracks your trust in yourself. How did I not see it? How did I ignore the signs? Why did I make excuses for her over and over? And most painfully, why did I believe I deserved so little? The therapist nodded like she'd heard it 1,000 times before. Maybe she had. I kept going every week, and slowly I stopped replaying Amanda's words in my head, stopped waking up expecting to see her, stopped needing to make sense of every moment of our past. The healing wasn't dramatic either. It was just me, taking showers without crying, answering emails on time, and laughing again, really laughing at stupid memes Jake sent me at 2 a.m. There were still bad days, but they stopped feeling like tsunamis and started feeling like passing clouds. As the weeks turned into months, something unexpected started happening. I was finding myself again. The guy before Amanda. The guy who didn't second guess every text or stay up worrying about what he didn't do. I started small. I went back to the gym, not to impress anyone, just to sweat out the bitterness. I picked up old hobbies I'd shelved, like photography. I even went to a few social events, not dates, just reconnecting with friends I hadn't seen because I was too busy trying to fix a broken marriage. I won't sugarcoat it. There were moments when loneliness hit like a punch to the gut. But the difference was I wasn't running from it anymore. I let myself feel it, then put it down. Amanda, she became a chapter I was no longer afraid to close. Every time I caught myself slipping into the what if trap, I reminded myself, what if she had been honest from the start? What if she valued us enough not to cheat? What if I deserved better? Because the truth is, I do deserve better. It's funny how betrayal changes your compass. You start to understand what love really means. Not the fairy tale stuff, but respect, honesty, and partnership. I don't know if Amanda will ever realize what she lost or if she even cares. Honestly, it doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that I'm moving forward, at my own pace, on my own terms. And maybe someday, when I'm ready, I'll be able to trust again. But for now, I'm just focused on rebuilding me. A few weeks ago, Amanda texted me. Out of nowhere, it was short. Hey, just wanted to say I'm sorry. I've been doing a lot of thinking. Hope you're okay. No call, no request to talk. Just that. Old me might have clung to that message like a lifeline, might have read it 10 times, searching for hidden meaning, hoping for closure. But new me, I stared at it for maybe a minute, then turned off my phone and went for a walk. I didn't need her apology because I already had closure. It didn't come wrapped in some heartfelt monologue or a final cry hug session on the porch. It came in the quiet mornings at Jake's place, in my therapist's office, in the way I started laughing again, deeply, stupidly, freely. It came in knowing I had survived something that broke me wide open, and I didn't bleed out. I rebuilt. There was no revenge arc, no dramatic blow up, just healing. Boring, beautiful, gradual healing. And peace. That's something Amanda never understood. She chased validation, drama, control. I chased peace, and I found it. Not in her, but in myself. People always talk about closure like it's a door someone else needs to close for you. Screw that. I built a whole new house and she's not invited inside. So here I am, months later, still standing, stronger actually. If you're reading this and you're in the thick of it, if your stomach is in knots, if you're sleeping on a friend's couch because the person you trusted the most ripped the floor out from under you, let me say this clearly. You are not crazy. You are not weak. You are not broken beyond repair. You were just lied to. You were manipulated. You were cheated on emotionally, physically, spiritually, but none of that was your fault. And more importantly, it doesn't define you. What defines you is what you do after. I'm not some inspirational speaker. I'm a regular guy who got blindsided by the woman he'd grow old with. But I made it through. With scars, sure, but also with wisdom I didn't have before. Here's what I've learned. One, listen to your gut. That quiet little voice you keep ignoring, it knows. Don't let someone gaslight you into silencing it. Two, don't beg for love. The moment you feel like you have to earn basic respect, it's already slipping away. Three, healing is not linear. You'll feel okay one day, then wreck the next. That's normal. Don't rush it. Four, therapy helps. even if you think you're not the type, especially if you think that. 5, let yourself grieve. You're not just losing a person, you're losing a future you planned, routines you built, dreams you shared. Mourn it all. 6, you're allowed to be angry. Don't bottle it up, but don't let it consume you either. 7, rebuilding is lonely at first, but it's worth it. Because when you come out the other side, you'll know exactly who you are and what you'll never tolerate again. I don't know what Amanda's doing now. I don't check her socials. I don't ask mutual friends. Not because I'm bitter, because I've let it go. She made her choices. And finally, so did I. So yeah, that's my story. If you're going through something similar, feel free to drop a comment. I've been there. I'll listen because I know how dark it gets, and I know you can make it out.